Live and direct. Oh, what a beginning. Shaky. Yeah, what a beginning. This episode is called The Call Out. D2E. The Call Out episode. Let me just straighten this up. So we started off shaky. You want to know what the call out is? It's just going to be real and honest. No lies. Nothing fake. Just how people are. There's good people and there's bad people. There's positive people and there's negative people. And there's some people that you might think are sometimes like are good how they portray themselves, but maybe they're not really like that. You get what I mean? But no one's perfect. We know no one's perfect. But like the reason I'm calling this episode the call out is because I'm gonna give you the news, the reality, one factor why the Toronto music urban scene is still where it is right now and it should be bigger. Because people lack unity, they lack you unity, working with each other, networking. A lot of people are really undercover bad mind. They got dirty, dirty attitudes, and everybody wants to be big, like bigger than the other. So this is what's part of the problem, and you probably heard this over and over again in a city like Toronto, the Six. But they had a nickname for it, the Screwface Capital, right? People say crabs in a bucket. Now it's 2024, and people think things have changed. No, just a new faces. So, what I'm talking about is like we do interviews. We're a podcast. We're a platform, right? Through my journeys, you know what people do? They ask for the interview. That's what these platforms do, right? Straight up. Like we're a podcast, but we do interviews. Remember that. So that's the what we do. So when going through this journey, and this is Toronto, right? Because Toronto's supposed to be, well, how they put it, like we're all supposed to be one, but that's not how it really goes, right? So I'm gonna tell you a story. Number one, right? For example, an artist from Toronto that I requested for an interview, like I always do, right? One of the top artists of all time, hip hop artists, Maestro Fresh West. But it's funny, right? I don't know how much times I asked really, but there's one time I put up a post and it must have caught him, and then he contacted me and gave me his, number and shit. And he said, yo, contact him. So we talked. This man says he represents black, he supports black business, entrepreneurs, black business. So we're talking about a whole bunch of things, but this is on the phone, right? So maybe it was 20 minutes. So he says how he supports black business and all types of stuff, and he's doing more than music. And I'm saying, yo, why do you think the main thing is the interview? So besides asking for the interviewer, he says we're gonna link up. Nothing happened. More than one time, had to you have to remind him. No, it's perfect, but that's an example now. Like I'm a big man. No one wants to keep running down somebody for an interview. You know what I mean? Like you do what you do, we do what we do, and it's the new era, new time for artists or anybody who, no matter how big you are, if no one's gonna recognize you, people forget you. So that's what we are, down to earth, to promote whoever, entrepreneurs, artists, especially these artists who are older, who no one really knows about as much. because they weren't in the age of social media, right? So that's one. Respect to Maestro, but that's just a story. Like he gave me his number. You're thinking that, yo, I'm thinking what we do, a business interview, right? So I see them go on like the other platforms, quote unquote, the white platforms, no problem if they call them up, but limited and few with the black media. Straight up, let's be straight up. Respect to like We Love Hip Hop, yeah, you may go on there and maybe if there's another, but that's the only black business. Respect to them. I'm just saying, an example, right? There's other platforms besides global and all that. Respect to them. That is the corporate, right? But you do support some black business. And let's say you don't support, but not all black business. I'm just straighten up because we are a business. We are a business, unless you don't take us serious. But now, a other legend from Toronto, Mishi Me. Respect to her. Asked her, because I gotta just say it as we go past all of this, the local scene, Toronto. Asked her about maybe 2 times for an interview. First encounter was very, very good, right? They know how to play around with words when people who've been in the industry for a while, like, if you ask them a question. So I never really got it straight, but the second time I asked, so saying busy, someone like that would have a busy schedule, a legend, right? And after then, I maybe asked 3 times, same thing. So it just sounded like he didn't want it. Respect to that individual. Okay, I'm just being straight up. This is what it is. This is how I'm explaining and expressing why the scene is what it is. Because people, you could be a legend, but nowadays you could be nobody, right? That's how it works. You could have been a legend, but nowadays you could be nobody. We are in the day. We are sorry to say relevant. So anybody, and I'm going to be confident enough to say this, who's on our platform, whoever's recently been on the internet, social media, because social media is more popular than ever now, is going to know who you are. Especially not because you're an old school artist, any artist. I'm just saying. There was the North Star. What was that thing what Drake had? He had the North Stars or some shit like that.
I'm not sure.
Something like that. Northern Stars. I remember there's a lot of hip hop artists who are supposed to be influential to Drake, and they're legends from the city. Certain people were left out, but the biggest of all was one of the biggest of all was on there. Maestro was on there. I think Cardinal was on there. Maybe Chocolate was on there. I'm not really sure, but I know Socrates was supposed to be. No, he wasn't even on there. Socrates, right? But Mishi Me wasn't on there either. And I remember on social media I mentioned that. And certain people probably, made it, they seen that and look, made it on there. Last minute. Come from Jamaica. Wasn't even in the country. You know what I mean? But respect to her, right? This is the call out episode. Great artist. Like I said, asked 3 times. You know what? Respect, no interview. Right? It goes on. So now we're gonna talk about how platforms
I saw it on the poster
and networks from the same city should be working with each other more so they could help the infrastructure, right? So do people do that? There's some. Bless up to Toronto Top 6, right? Drip Room and Toronto Rap Stars. They put on events all through this, through the city. There are platforms that promote urban music, right? And news. They come together. But what we do, like the podcast, media, in Toronto or Canada, but I'm going to just say Toronto, it's a different thing. Very limited, very few. Not too much people are consistent, but we know for a fact from down to earth, we are consistent. We've done put in work. But we people want to say like the underdog, right? I don't even want to call myself no dog, but